All right, I'm going to go ahead and show how to connect your iPad to your Mac and then install your app that's running on Xcode onto your iPad. The first thing you want to do is make sure you have been added to the Apple developer group. And one of the ways to find that out is to log into the Apple developer website with your credentials to make sure you're part of the course, iOS developer course for Rock Valley College. If you do not see certificates, identifiers, and profiles, you are not part of the iOS developer program, which is called iOS Developer University Program. You will need to email me so I can get you added. Once you've done that, then you can continue on. So you're part of the program. I'm going to fire up Xcode and open up an existing project here. Master detail app we created this semester. And once you fire up the app, you need to make sure you download the latest and greatest profiles from the Apple developer site. And before you do that, you need to make sure that you have your UDID from your device on the Apple developer website. So I'm going to click on the certificates, identifiers, and profiles. And devices. Devices are all the devices on this Rock Valley College iOS developer program. If you don't see your name in there, let me know so I can add your UDID. So we've opened up Xcode. We've opened up a project. Now we're going to go to Xcode preferences. I'm going to log in with your Apple ID. And here's my Rock Valley College Apple ID. Here's my personal one. I'm going to use the Rock Valley College one. You'll actually click right here where my mouse is. In fact, double click. It'll launch this screen. And then you'll click this button here, which will refresh and download certificates, if any, that you have on your machine, and all of the profiles that are on the Apple website for developers. I'm going to switch back to that while that's loading and show you what we should get downloaded. We have 4 provision files that's automatically created and managed. You notice it says here by Xcode, meaning these are actually created and updated by Xcode. So anytime I add a new device or a new certificate, it updates the profile. Let's talk about certificates for a second. You'll also need a certificate. You'll notice Todd here is up on certificate approval. I'm going to click on his and approve it. And so everyone in the class that's connected successfully up to this point should have your certificate in here. And if you don't have a certificate, when you refresh this button here back in Xcode, it'll tell you certificate doesn't exist. Do you want to request one? Or certificate not valid. Do you want to request one? As soon as you do that, it does send me an email as the administrator of the iOS University Apple Developer Program. Then I will accept it like I just did Todd's, and then that person can go on to the next step. We want to make sure the iOS development says valid. And I usually do it a couple times to refresh it just to make sure I have the latest and greatest available here. I'll do it one more time. And you'll notice the date changed here from 2/24 to 2/25, and that's because it added the Todd certificate that I just approved. Now all of our profiles have been updated. So now that we do that, we're going to go ahead and plug in my iPad into the Mac with a FireWire or a Thunderbolt cord. You'll be prompted, iTunes will start up. You can cancel that out and quit iTunes, as well as iPhoto, same deal. You can quit that when it prompts. And what's going to happen is you'll see up at the top, mine's already completed, but the first time you connect, it'll say bringing over profile, and it'll continually do that until all of the components from the iPad are into Xcode. You should then have not only your simulator options that you've had, you're also going to have a new option, which is your actual device. And mine says Bread Company here. Before I run it on my actual device, I usually always test it on a simulator before I run it on my device, just to make sure everything's running good. There we go. The other thing you want to check is before you connect your iPad is that your target deployment info, target information, deployment target is whatever that is. Mine's 8.1. My iPad has to be either at that version or higher. If it's lower than that version, it will not work, and that means you'll have to lower the version for deployment. So make sure you note that before you connect your iPad. And if you keep your iPad up to date, you shouldn't have any problem. But if you don't, if you have an older iPad and say it's version 7, it will not work on this deployment app. You have to change all the deployment targets. The other thing I'll mention is, since we're using Swift this semester, Swift development language will only work with iOS 8 or higher. So anything prior to that, Swift will not work with. And so if it's developed in Swift, you have to have a device that is iOS 8 or higher to connect to in this fashion from Xcode. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and select the iPad and hit the play button. And it's running and showing up on my iPad. I'm going to take a screenshot and include it. I'll dump it over here into this recording so you'll see it. So I just did a screenshot. I'm going to stop the app, and I'm going to go ahead and unplug and plug back in my iPad cord into my Mac. It's going to fire up iTunes and iPhoto. I want to keep iPhoto connected because I want to import the photo I just did, which is this one right here. That's the one I just imported from my iPad. I did a screenshot to show you. So that concludes how to connect your iPad to your Mac and install your apps running on Xcode, install those apps onto an iPad. Again, just to rehash, first step, you need to make sure you log into the Apple developer website, and you need to be a member of an iOS university or a personal iOS developer program. If you do not see certificates, identifiers, and profiles on your screen when you're logged in, you're not a part of it. You can also check programs and add-ons. And if you're not a part of the iOS Developer University program, you need to email Professor Conkle so we can add you to that. Also, make sure I have your UDID. Email that to me if I don't have it already so I can add it into devices. And then certificates, remember, the first time you connect to Xcode to your device, if you have not created a certificate up to that point, it will prompt you by going to Xcode Preferences, and I recommend going to Xcode Preferences every time you get ready to sync Xcode app with your actual iPad or iPhone. So again, clicking on the name, Rock Valley College, and I suggest clicking this button here, this refresh button, at least 2 times. And anytime I add a new UDID or a new certificate, it will update this expiration date 1 year from that date. Also, if you don't have a valid certificate, remember, it will prompt you to request one. And as soon as I accept a request, if you're not in a class at the time, I will email you that I have accepted it, and you can go continue on. So that concludes how to connect your iPad to Xcode and to install